Hey guys, this is Kev Prime doing the movie review which has to do with The Descent. Descent is probably one of my most memorable movies in I would say 14 years ago. Yep, 14 and a half years. But originally this film was out in 2005, and I really loved this film since the teaser trailer came out. And this is the one I'm holding is from a PSP UMD thing. If I open this now, I'm not gonna hold the spoilers here. This is the little one. What it is, Universal Media Discs. That's what UMD video is. The Universal Media Disc video. And that's what Sony probably had it on, and they had low pitch versions of the films, and it's not very much sound, kind of like. So yeah, anyway, moving on. The Descent is probably one of my best horror films I've seen when I was in my teenage ages, and there was no other British films I've seen that can actually beat this one, other than people's lectured their favourites to Hannibal the Lecter. But personally for me, nah, Hannibal's not really a good one. But as much as British people like Hannibal Lecter, it's not really my cup of tea. So anyway, The Descent was probably more praised that he had similar references to films such as at the back it says 28 Days Later, but in trailers themselves they refer it as Alien. So pretty much a coincidence there. Okay, so what I'm gonna talk about is what pretty much today is The Descent. Alright, so let's go. So it starts off with three people who've been kayaking, doing canoeing around some water hills, and also a husband who's someone's husband and a little child as well, which the father and the daughter, which is known as Jessica and Paul, and they play very little roles on this one. And as I see, three people are which are the three main characters for this one. First, we have Sarah, who's being played by Shauna McDonald, and then Juno, played by Natalie Mendoza, and also Beth by Alex Reed. So these three have been taken and canoed around to slid right down into the surface as soon as they landed. And as soon as they finished their journey throughout the whole stream, Sarah, Paul, and Jessica take their ride off as soon as Sarah is in the passenger seat, and Paul somehow gets distracted as soon as Sarah saw Jessica doing something. But when Paul got distracted during driving, he suffered a major accident that some metal pipe impaled right into his forehead and mercilessly killed him, including Jessica as well, from the car crash. And Sarah was unconscious, but she was taken into some coma, and as soon as she got up, Sarah was seeing dark green light hallucinations, and then she had to search for her daughter. But on the other hand, Beth and Juno wanted to deliver the sad news, but they expressed their sorrows on Sarah on losing her daughter. And in the next year, in Chapala Mountain. I can't pronounce that. Apakala Mountain. I can't pronounce it. It's so hard to pronounce that. I'm trying to learn this one. Okay, so bust my balls, but you can put it in the comments of what the mountain is called. It's in North Carolina. That's where the expedition started, where Beth decided to give Sarah a chance to do another expedition adventure. And as far as it goes, they met up with Juno along with the two sisters, Sam and Rebecca. These two sisters also volunteered, which are known as Juno's friends, to go into some adventure, and a newcomer as known as Holly, who is also a rookie. And all of the 6 girls decided to spend their time one night in the cabin. And Sarah, yet again, also had hallucinations as soon as they had their drunken party sleepover, until she had the same similar flashbacks where her husband Paul got impaled right in the forehead, but she dosed herself with some pills to make her go a little bit insane, but that is a little bit later on the next one. So all the six girls decides to drive all the way into the undescended caves, which is pretty much of an unknown anomaly location, which was instructed and given by Juno. And as soon as Sarah drives all of the girls from there, everyone decides to gear up and descend and grapple all the way down here, until Beth makes some mockery reference like she wasn't a fucking Tomb Raider. Priceless. So anyway, besides from that, Juno wasn't very too pleased with Holly's and Beth's mockery right down the descent into whatever lurks down below. So despite all the bickering, even when bats fly and you see crows decomposing a buck, this is where the real descent begins. So the descent starts with Juno lighting up flares, and she uses the flares so everyone can actually see the whole cave, and it's pretty much fully dark, and it's pretty much like a maze. So it's pretty much like how Sarah and the rest of the girls follow Juno's lead to see how the expedition goes. As soon as they found a narrow route which leads to something new, before they were able to do that, the rest of the girls managed to get through, but Sarah didn't feel claustrophobic on this one, but she was suffocating and choking a lot. She was lacking of oxygen to breathe because she was stuck, and Beth decides to come and help her out, but until the stones crumbled, she got unconscious again, leading on a hallucination which is Jessica as well blowing her 6th birthday candles. But then Juno, on the other hand, woke Sarah up, which is until this point if she was okay, and the answer was yes. And then afterwards, the rest found a different route, which is somewhere across where there's pretty much a different scenario route, and both Rebecca and Juno work together to make a grapple with ropes to make sure everyone goes across. As soon as everyone manages to climb into the next route, Juno, on the other hand, struggled to get rid of the equipment that was planted by Rebecca. Then Rebecca, who held the ropes, and Juno struggled and fell off on the cliff, but managed to grab the rope. But however, Rebecca was wounded by her palm of her hand to be sure she gets patched up with the team, and she manages to get up safely. So they see a carving of the I can't even pronounce that. If anyone knows what the mountain is, it begins with either a C or an A. Something Mountain is in North Carolina. If you watched The Descent before, comment below, please. Yeah, the mountain in North Carolina shows two different routes. Like the one they entered in, which is the cave, and one, there is actually an exit, where pretty much they show you can actually find a way out to get out of the cave. Which is not going to be that easy either. So what they have not noticed yet, there is some creature-like crawler, which is a male one, lurks. Which what the girls did not know, they lurked into crawler creature territory as soon as they got into that cave. So what all they did is to gear up, get ready, and Holly somehow rushed. But however, Natalie Mendoza, as I like her actress skills, because in my opinion she's my favourite in this film, but I wish she'd done more, to be honest. Again, who played as Juno. Juno, on the other hand, well, I'm just gonna call her Natalie. Natalie has run over to save Holly, who's played by Nona, but I can't pronounce the middle and surname. And she somehow was in the struggle of the fall. Juno grabbed Holly, but Holly was losing a lot of grip, and everyone decided to come and help Juno along with the rest to get Holly in shape. But Holly, however, couldn't move, and as soon as everyone managed to climb down, Holly was screaming in fractured and agony of pain. She fractured her right leg bone, and it was so painful for concrete of rock to cause that much pain into human tissue that can let bone go outside of the air, which absolutely hurts. So later on, after that, Sarah, on the other hand, decided to see what lurked behind these creatures that she saw, but Juno, on the other hand, was screaming to get Sarah back. But however, Beth told her to come and sort Holly out until Sarah can isolate herself for a bit. Then, however, Sarah saw a crawler creature drinking some water until she stopped moving, and whenever she saw it within complete pace of that, the crawler decides to move away and run. And then on the other hand, when she felt she's gonna get eaten or attacked, Juno scared and panicked her. And when it comes to some creature that she was going to explain about Juno and the rest, but Juno obviously declined about what happened in the allegation, what has happened with Sarah's traumatizing presence with that creature. But then on the other hand, as soon as Holly was still wounded and she was unable where they reached the further descent on the far pavement, where the crawler's territory is about to start coming in. It was about time one of them were there, and Holly's camera started recording Sarah screaming to see if anyone was there until Juno told her to calm down. But on the other hand, what was lurking behind Rebecca was a crawler, and the rest of the girls were screaming. And later on, Sarah was right, and the crawler was trying to pursue its way to attack one of the females. And what these females do is try to fight it back. But on the other hand, the crawler tries to attempt to get Holly, and the crawler is successful, killing her by attacking the throat, which is what the male crawlers do as well. I'm not sure about the female ones, because I think that goes to the sequel, but I'm not going to move on to that one. So the male crawler, they jump or something like that, and they just whoosh, bite or swipe the claws to kill a woman by slicing the throat, just like a knife. As soon as that came into much grief, Juno decided to step in and show more fierce and anger to take down a crawler, which everyone got into a split halt. Sam and Rebecca split, but Juno, on the other hand, decided to fight the crawler. But on the other hand, when she thought another crawler was coming, however, when she was touched into the shoulder, she swung her pickaxe accidentally and traumatized at Beth in the left side of the throat, and that's where the crawlers usually slice with their claws, or just use their mouths to decapitate the throats. But on the other hand, there was a pendant that belonged to Juno, which she collapsed, and Juno was traumatized and fled the scene. But Beth, on the other hand, was still shocked that there was ultimate betrayal going on inside Juno. But it was much to Sarah's awareness, including Sam and Rebecca, because they split up. Then later on, as soon as Juno split up as well, Sarah decided to find what lurks behind the caves when she grabbed Holly's camera, and what she found was corpses of skeletons, and it was petrifyingly mortifying to Sarah's view what she recorded in night vision, seeing so many of the skeletons crawling without the caves, and she realizes she wasn't alone at this point. The crawlers, on the other hand, decided to sneak on her as soon as another crawler spotted Sam and Rebecca while they were going to look for Juno and Sarah themselves. So what's has happened is Sarah decides to play dead and coyed out of the crawlers, and on the other hand, when she saw about two or three crawlers, I think, um, feasting and eating cannibalistically on Holly, which she had uh, no living thing, whatever. All of her flesh was eaten out, and Sarah, on the other hand, was mortified and did not want to look. But a crawler was looking at a camera, and including Sarah herself. And basically, what the crawler was looking at was and then on the other hand, some of the presences of Juno decided to see if Rebecca and Sam as well had distractments of hearing, where the crawlers that harvested and cannibalistically ate Holly to death, they ran away and to see where the hunt was between Sam, Rebecca, and Juno. But when Sarah decided to see what was left of Holly, she soon saw in shock that Beth was gargling and her throat was attacked, but it was not by the creatures. She revealed that Juno attacked her with the weapon. And before we get into the explanation of that one, I'm going to cut it. What happened with Juno, Sam, and Rebecca on this one. Whilst Sarah finds explanations on Beth, Juno, Rebecca, and Sam were trying to find each other first. And on the other hand, we cut to Sam and Rebecca seeing whenever they can find Juno or Sarah at where they were lost against that creature they were ambushed. But as soon as Rebecca was attacked behind by the crawler, Juno, on the other hand, assisted by killing the crawler, and on the other hand, Rebecca also pledged allegiance to kill them as well. But on the other hand, when there are about too many crawlers in the flashlights, there are like over about 10 of them, and then Juno decided to tell the sisters Rebecca and Sam with her together to run for it, and they have to lose them as soon as they have to discuss the presence with Sarah. And then we cut into Sarah mourning and expresses her sorrow that Beth was actually murdered by Juno. And she gave Sarah Juno's pendant until right now, which I'm going to discuss later on, which this is the biggest plot twist that no one has ever predicted. When Beth explains full detail about Juno's betrayal and her compulsive liars, she mercilessly killed her best friend and screams that as Rebecca, Sam, and Juno heard her, Juno decided she was not going to leave unless they got to get Sarah first. And it cuts to Sarah attacking one of the crawlers, and then one of them on the other hand. decided to find Sarah next, but as soon as she played dead successfully, the crawler, on the other hand, who was also approaching to her, who actually found the killer of the crawler, which was her. She didn't know if she actually died. The crawler didn't know if she actually died or not until Juno decided to attack more, and the crawler decided to see the distraction. But Sarah, on the other hand, she grabbed one of the pendants and the weapons she crafted, which is more likely of a pickaxe, and swung it on and killing the crawler. And then later on, she decided to run away with the other crawler, and she dropped into a pool, which I wasn't really sure at that point. Was it either a blood pool or it was just a pool of water? So we cut to that, and Rebecca and Sam. Rebecca and Sam, on the other hand, were in the center torch of where they were near on Sarah's proximity. And on the other hand, Juno, Sarah, and Rebecca were surrounded by crawlers at this point. And on the other hand, Rebecca decided to run for it and tries to attempt to commit harakiri along with the crawler. When she hung her legs upside down, and then Sam, on the other hand, got harvested and got eaten right behind her legs by 4 crawlers, and Juno battled the crawlers one by one, and she survived the whole battle, and much to climbing and surviving throughout the whole pool. She climbed all the way up until she was shocked to see Sarah not in most kind of good moods. She was one of the most angriest persons alive, as there were only 2 people left inside the Descendant cave in that mountain, and she wanted to intervene Juno with an angry pep talk about if Holly was alive. She said no. Rebecca and Sam, no. And then the ultimate truth was Beth. Beth, on the other hand, she admitted that she accidentally attacked her, but Sarah was having none of the excuse. And on the other hand, she decided to think her own way of getting vengeance for Beth. So Sarah decided to take charge instead of Juno. And then later on, Juno lighted up the flare, and Sarah got her pickaxe ready just to kill more crawlers that came along the way where Sam, Rebecca, and Holly were killed by them. And that much time they were ferociously attacking most of the crawlers they have found, much to the crawlers' detection. And as soon as everything was done, Sarah was not through finishing with Juno. So what she did, she held up her pickaxe, and on the other hand, she held up her own pendant that Juno saw, which belonged to her. Sorry, it was Juno's pendant that Juno saw, which was hers, until the plot twist is she was unfaithful to Sarah and Paul was a liability, that he cheated Sarah with Juno, who fucked her. So that is the biggest twist, and for that payment is Sarah decided to attack Juno by swinging the pickaxe to wound her legs so she can't escape herself. But then in anger, much in anger, as Sarah knows the truth that Sarah was cheated on her best friend along with the deceased husband, Paul. So there are two different endings to this one. As soon as Juno in anger takes the pickaxe out, there were like approximately 10 crawlers. And then Sarah on the other hand fell. And before we get into the next part, there are two different endings in this movie. Just right when Sarah falls off. But since it's modern now, you get both versions of endings anyway. But it's the same with television as well, if they see it on television. But in the old days, and I believe it went quick, just right as the theatre. I'm going to start with the one that's non-canon. And it made no sense, which is the American version. Because the American version makes no sense. And it's also non-canon, and I'll tell you why. So when Sarah falls down, she falls down into the skeletons that she sees, and then some bright light extinguishes upwards until she found some hole in tree stumps across next to it, which was actually the sticks. She's in slow motion, she climbs all the way up, and as soon as the music keeps playing, she was screaming for her life, extremely upset, lost four of her friends, and then on the truck warned her to move, but the truck managed to pass her. She vomited outside her car, and then she discovered in some traumatizing way, she was screaming absolutely that Juno fought and survived against the 10 crawlers for what she did to cheat her husband, and Juno wanted to do the exact same to kill her when she was screaming, much to Juno's anger. And the screaming just shows with her eyes scream as well. So that was the end of the US version, and that makes no canon sense whatsoever. And the canon ending is probably the UK. The UK's one, she lies down to regain consciousness, and she sees the hallucination one last time about Jessica's last birthday cake, and then the whole thing zooms out and so many creatures are screaming and all over the place. They were all screaming, and so far the fate remained unknown where Juno survived the whole thing or not. Much to despite of Sarah's anger of what Juno did to Beth and what Juno did to upset Sarah this angry. And that's it, you have The Descent. In much countries, The Descent wasn't really much public to be spoken to. So The Descent is actually a good film, and it definitely gave me the scares and chills when I first saw it. And it was absolutely one of the most brilliant all-female casts in that film. But on the other hand, I am not going to see the second Descent. It's absolutely garbage, and the story made no sense whatsoever. So, even though some of the critics like it, some of the critics didn't. But for me personally, nope. Alright, so my first ratings for the film, I gave it a 9. And as I re-watched the film, approximately my 4th time, because it's been 5 years I've seen the first Descent again. So I'm gonna give it a perfect 9, and I can't do it upside down. So a perfect 9 out of 10. So yeah, it's pretty a good film. Give it a watch, and you'll see why I prefer the first Descent movie than the second one. Okay, so the next film I'll be doing is a little bit shorter than this one. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the Descent review that I've done, and it's a vlog review, by the way. So no film footage is used in this way. So you're gonna have to get used to it with the vlog. Click the thumbs, ding dong, and sub on the which is on the right side, I think, since the templates of the new YouTube version is inferior. So yeah, I'm gonna do the next vlog review very shortly as well. So yeah, take care.